broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm gonna let you dance, Stacy.
Hey, okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Just had to have that opening.
Had to have a moment. Welcome, AfterBuzz fans, to another episode, another recap of ABTV's Blackish. I'm your host, Courtney Tezeno, and you guys can keep in touch with me. Tweet me at Teznos on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to head over to YouTube if you're not already watching us. Give us 5 stars because we know you love the after show for Blackish, and we have everything on SoundCloud and iTunes, so go listen. And I'm joined with my lovely co-host.
Hey, girl,
Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's Stacy Ike, and I'm here on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace.
All right, and be sure to use that hashtag ABTV Blackish during the show. We are watching, and we want to know what you thought about this episode. All right, so this episode is season 1, episode 22. We're about to wrap this season. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. This one was called Peer-ent Trap.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think I've done a sitcom that's had such a long season ever. So that's very interesting, and I'm really proud of them. Yeah,
definitely, and we're happy that they have a season 2. So something I look forward to. So this episode, we heard a lot about good parenting versus bad parenting, and basically Bo was on the good side, Dre was on the bad side.
Right.
I thought it was absolutely crazy, some of the things that Dre did. I mean, he had the 10,000 commandments was one of the things.
Right.
And then he had the kids doing all these loopholes for the 10,000 commandments. That's crazy to me. But the first reason why he starts doing that is because Zoe takes a turn for the wild side. And she's joyriding at 15.
It's crazy because I feel like it was kind of like a democracy versus a dictatorship. Like, that's the difference. And it's so funny.
You don't win in a dictatorship.
Yeah, you don't win. And it's so funny because I was trying to think of like the things my parents did that one versus the other. And even with Dre, like things that were quote unquote bad versus what she did was quote unquote good. It's who can tell, because you never really know how your kid's going to turn out. Let's say you do the exact same thing for all of your kids and it doesn't work out the same. Hence Zoe being the bad seed according to her sister. So that was pretty funny.
I don't think she's the bad seed at all. And the oldest always gets the bad rap. It's because the parents are trying to figure out how they're going to parent their children. And everyone else pretty much falls in line. Zoe said that she's the civil rights person for all of them. She's like,
I'm taking it all for you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, she's not wrong.
She isn't.
But, yeah.
She definitely is showing that she's the oldest, and there's a lot of lessons that everyone has to learn through her. But the 10,000 commandments, let's go ahead and talk about that, because Dre had a meeting with all of them, and he pretty much laid it down. Were there any that stood out to you, any of the commandments?
Thou shalt not eat after 10 p.m. That was pretty funny, especially how it turned out. And also that they can't ask for any parental like guidance or help after 10 p.m. as well. And I'm like,
Come on now.
So not even.
You can't do that.
That's not gonna work. Yeah,
Definitely.
Especially with the 2 twins. I mean, they're like 5, so they're not. But you know what I mean. So I thought that was really funny, and just the way he dived into the 10,000 commandments versus like how Bo thought that it was gonna go was just such a funny dynamic, because she's like, oh, okay, we're gonna have this meeting and we're gonna bring down the house, but it won't be like, it'll be exactly, that's how Bo is, it'll be productive. And he's like, no, you can't even talk, I'm bringing it down. It's like, he is just so funny in this role. I see it every week.
He is. And then Bo, she's pretty much like he was saying, I don't even remember the term, but she's like but the whole time saying.
Yeah, he said, what is with that chicken that chicken rhythm? I was like, stop. That's funny.
He is so crazy, but can you blame him? When we get all these flashbacks of how he was treated by Pops, you cannot blame him for being in this dictator role.
Honestly, after seeing Pops talk about it today, I never could blame him, but today was very vivid in how he grew up. Like, I had some white homeless guy follow you around.
That is too much. That's
inappropriate, people. Inappropriate.
Absolutely
I was very, just the fact that he was like following him around, not the fact that he was homeless or white. But just the fact that some creepy guy was following you around, I'm confused. Yeah.
And then I think that's crazy that your dad rips up your room. You bought these things. You're ripping up my bed, and you want me to stitch it back together.
Yeah, I don't even get what the point. And the thing is, every time he had a scene like that, he was a child.
Yeah.
Jerry curl and all. So it was very hard knock life.
It was a hard knock life. He talks about how those things affected him later in life. Like I don't even think he can be around. What did he say about the homeless guy?
Don't you know this affected the way I think about white people?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That's crazy. So Pops is definitely to blame for this dictatorship. But Bo, I will say, until the end, she is pretty soft. Like, she is the yes person. And I don't want to say all moms are like that, because it's definitely not true. But they're kind of playing on those gender roles, trying to like heighten up the fact that mom is the nurturer and dad is the one that puts his foot down. And we finally see that with Dre. I think he put his foot down. I don't know what Pops is talking about. He's just too extreme.
Right, exactly. There's definitely a difference between like I almost killed my child versus I was just trying to teach them a valuable lesson. So yes.
And then the crazy part about this whole thing with Zoe driving without a license, I thought that was too much. But I understand where parents go from. When you start one thing, it's like it trickles so many bad things. And Dre was talking about the joyriding is going to turn to crack, and then that's going to turn to pregnancy, and then that's going to turn to a baby
having
in the
toilet baby. I was like, wow, what 7-Eleven is he planning on? I mean, obviously he thought that she was going to have a baby in the 7-Eleven or something. But that was very funny.
You know, I thought they made that reference to that the show where I didn't know I was pregnant, because they're all no, really, every time
that's funny.
Every time they have those episodes, there's someone that's like, I just didn't know I was pregnant, I was on the toilet and it happened. So I was like, that's where they got it from.
Really ridiculous.
It is
the fact that even, oh my gosh, I need to watch that episode anyway.
Oh my gosh. So they're absolutely nuts. But I thought it would, like we said, the twins and Junior had a very different take on these commandments and these rules. Most of the focus of this episode was Zoe. But the twins, I think they did just like twins would. And what was it? He was really upset about his pet Gus.
Yeah.
He was a part of the 10 Commandments. You can't have him anymore.
Right.
So that was crazy. And then Junior was just absolutely the dweeb that he is. He was making the whole... if we can't eat after 10, then I'm going to drink after 10.
Right. I actually was really happy to see Junior in this role today, because usually he doesn't give us like the around the way, you know, like I'm going to try to beat the parents, but he's always the goody to the fullest. And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but this was really fun for him to show us the loopholes and to show us like the way to be slick and have the twins on his side, because I don't think that happens often for him.
It doesn't. So he was talking about the whole straight and narrow, and I think even though he had a few loopholes, he still took the very straight and narrow.
Yeah, well, versus Zoe for sure.
Yeah, versus Zoe. I mean, he's not sneaking out the house. He's just putting his head out so he can eat the candy, which is like, oh my gosh, it's not a lot. But I thought it was so funny when Dre actually made him drink this crazy concoction he made, like a burger fries in a smoothie.
Gross.
No.
Absolutely gross. He said drink every chunk of it. I was like...
that is a punishment. He pretty much set himself up for that one. Yeah, that was crazy. That was absolutely nuts. Yeah. So it was good to see that they had a part in it as well, even though we were focusing on Zoe and peer pressure, because it's called Peer-ent Trap. But the next thing that I thought was a little crazy but so relevant to this generation was the hacking that Dre did for Zoe's phone. Is that really on YouTube?
I'm sure, of course. If you can learn how to French braid and cook with... I don't want to talk about what you can learn on YouTube, but you know what I mean. Like you could seriously learn every single thing plus 2 more things on the side. So absolutely can your kid, your parents hack based on a YouTube video for sure.
But has our parenting gone that far where we have to do a fingerprint clone?
Probably, yes.
That is crazy.
You know what? It's scary because I think I was thinking about like how, Bo related to that as like a, invasion of privacy and that kind of thing. And then in my head, I honestly... Of course, at the time, I'd be upset if my parents did that. But I remember them doing it a few times and understanding why later, like now. But at the time,
Wait,
yes.
not the cloning, but the...
No.
Okay, I'm like...
breaking into my phone. Like, I remember my dad once took my phone and read it. And I really was so upset, privacy, blah, blah. And then I realized, like, I could keep ranting and then he can cut off my line.
Exactly,
and then it will just be me and my privacy. Like,
until you're paying some bills,
yes,
you run nothing.
There's no privacy. Yeah.
But I thought it was. I didn't actually deal with the whole taking my phone and looking through my things. I don't have anything to hide.
Yeah.
But I would say more so a diary. That was my thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. When your parents read your diary,
right?
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah, I hid mine really well. I don't know how I got away with it, but
no, that's my That
is so funny.
So I thought it was so interesting how they did that with the hacking. But some of the sites that they talked about her being on, Tinder and Grindr.
See, that's terrible. I wrote that down, that every time that Dre goes to his employees and his former colleagues or whatever, or his colleagues, they don't ever get it. They don't get what you know what I mean? They always take it to that next level where Dre's like, oh my God, am I doing something wrong? Whatever. And he freaks out more than he should. And it's so funny because they're just nuts.
I think they steer him in a very bad direction.
Just very extreme direction.
Yeah,
yes.
Very extreme.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to get more into that as far as her social media, but peer pressure was the main thing this episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, it happens to a lot of us, but it was really sad to see some of the things that Zoe's exposed to. I mean, her friend Sarah has fake boobs.
Right.
And her mom has fake boobs, so it's acceptable.
Right.
And then Zoe feels like, does she think that that's okay for her to, hang around these type of people? I think there's a lot of peer pressure going on with the cigarettes and all of that stuff.
And it was interesting the way she talked about like the girl Maya, and she was like, well, if I'm not there, then Maya's gonna win, as if guys are like a competition or some kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like already teaching she's 15 in the show and in real life actually. So just the fact that you're already getting around, like just getting around that kind of behavior and that mindset of pinning girls against each other and going after the guy as the prize. I was like,
everything you're saying is just reminding me of Beyonce Flawless. I'm sorry. It is very
I'm not saying I'm not a Beyonce fan.
It is very relevant.
Beehive.
In Flawless, there is a long monologue where they talk about we teach girls.
Yes.
Yeah, we teach
honestly,
girls.
I hear I hear it in my head now.
Aspire to marriage, but we don't teach young boys.
Guys,
and I
the same
think,
thing.
and I think that's what that scene was pretty much talking about, is that Zoe is trying to, she said she was obsessing over this guy. I get it, you're crushing. But saying that some girl's going to take him and like, that's too much. Like, we shouldn't be in competition like that.
It sucks. It sucked to hear it and to know that it was something that was pretty true in high school and in middle school and all the, whatever. And in college and in adulthood and mostly, in life now. Yes, it's very sad.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely crazy to see some of the things she was exposed to.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they didn't push that boundary to do the cigarettes or show her on the motorcycle. It was a little more funny just hearing Dres, his reaction. And
I actually wanted to see it because I didn't really believe it.
Really?
Why would she be on with a cigarette? I mean,
it was on social media, so maybe like just
she just posed with it. Okay, because I was like, that seems a little much for her, but I don't know.
I mean, with the type of friends they were describing, even though we didn't see them this episode, I could see it.
Yeah,
I could definitely see it. So I'm glad they didn't show that. That was the one thing. But they did a good job of getting us inside of Zoe's world without actually putting us there.
Yeah,
I would have actually liked to see her go off to the social though.
Yeah, and see like how she was with the dude. But you know what? That was a perfect punishment because she really did deserve it. Like, you're doing too much. We literally just saved you from the first time. And then, you know what the truth about that was, is that your mom had got you out of this whole pickle and she was your friend, whatever. And that's how parents always get tricked, because we know how to do the like eyes and the cuteness and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, you know how to
and
do
before,
that?
Oh yeah, I'm really good at it. Oh
okay.
Yeah. Oh,
we gotta make sure your dad's watched this.
Oh no, he definitely false word every time. But yeah, that's how Bo totally got snapped in the face, because it just didn't work out for her. Where she was like, "Oh, I've been trying to be your friend, and honestly, you've been betraying me behind my back." I was like, kids.
I know. It's so sad. I think we all go through that phase. Teen years are probably the worst years for parent relationships with their children. Yeah. And I thought this episode, seeing the mom and daughter relationship, was so important, because we've seen so much of Zoe and Dre and how they interact and how they're like boom coos, all that stuff. but the mom and daughter relationship, where Bo is really like trying to go beyond just being a parent, that was so cool. Where she's sitting down and she wants to know about her friends who she's crushing on. Yeah. That was a cute moment.
Yeah.
But I hate the way that it ended with her.
Can I just talk about Bo's clothing? I love her outfits.
Fashion 411.
Oh my gosh, can you just hear from me? Her outfits are amazing. the jumpsuit was it's just so perfect for like a modern mom. Like I love it. And then sometimes she'll just be like in cool sweatpants and I'm like, this is so perfect. And it really balances with Dre's look. And I don't know, I'm really falling in love with that. So
I did like that. I particularly really liked Zoe's hairstyles.
Yeah.
Her spring social hairstyle with it pinned up, but it was still natural and curled. That was so nice.
Except she didn't get to show anybody.
She didn't. But we saw it.
Right.
So
I was like, wow, go right back in the house. That sucked. Yeah.
It did. So losing her crush to Maya, that was one thing. And she said at the end of that night, she cried. Obviously, they're making the use of social media and texting by showing us the conversation between Bo and Zoe on the screen, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah,
what did you think
all
about
those
how
emojis?
They did that?
I was very impressed because I cannot. Yeah, they're like smiley face, winky face, smiley face, emoji, heart, emoji, love, eye. Text me back. It's like, what's going on? I've tried the emojis with my mom. No, she like will read over it. Like I'll be like, you're like and I'll put like a light bulb, and she'll be like, you need to finish your sentence, call me back. I'm like,
well, that's nice that they've upgraded, because I think my parents would get like the question mark because there's no emojis on their phone. So at least she's upgraded. That's nice. Mm-hmm. But one other thing that Dre did that was a little creepy for me was when he was tracking her phone. That was, do you think
creepy.
That was too
much. Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I always wonder about when I'm going to be a parent and what type of things that my parents did that I want to bring back, because some of it, I'm like, wow, how did that work out? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And some of it, you're like, no, that was definitely, they didn't realize, but they totally got like, no, it didn't work out for them. Mm-hmm. So anyway, seeing him go that route, I've seen parents do that. And I had friends whose parents did that. And they hate their parents now, to be completely honest. And I got lucky because that's, once I said something, they believe me. So that's what, to me, it's like I built trust by being like, okay, well, if they're going to believe me, then I might as well be honest, because
that's
you know what I mean? Like, there's just no need to betray them. They literally believe everything I say. So why not just be honest? It just worked better.
I think at that age, at Zoe's age, being 15, I was definitely the goody two-shoes. Yeah. And plus, my mom was a reporter. My dad was a police officer. They could find out anything about me. So
that is so true.
Yeah, so I was constant security. There's no reason for me to be
that's funny.
Bad at all.
Yeah.
So I followed the rules. I was home when I needed to be. Maybe a little bit late. Let me just be real. Curfews were hard to make.
I can't believe she had an 11:30 curfew at 15. That was pretty late. I mean, it's 2015, like so maybe, but still, yeah. I'm like, I didn't get midnight until like, look, I don't even want to tell y'all when I get midnight.
I said 18. I said 18. It was real sad.
Yeah.
And if I was out, then my parents were out.
It was like when I came back from college for the first break, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I guess midnight." I'm like, midnight? I just stayed up at 5 at Hatch Hall, anyway. So So
do we think having the curfew at that late at an early age, is that better? Is that worse? Or if going off to college and then having that sense of like, okay, I need to be back at a certain time, that help you?
Well, for me, it was fine. But I think for some people, if they do have the curfew at an earlier time, by the time they get to college, they're unimpressed. You know what I mean? None of that stuff fazed them, because they're like, when I was 15, my mom already let me do this stuff. So they don't really seem to go as wild. I mean, based on like statistics. I mean, it depends. Like, it's certain people. And then other people who were so confined all the way up until 18, they lose it in college. Mm-hmm. That's what people say. I don't know if that doesn't apply to everybody, though.
It doesn't. Yeah. I'm kind of glad that I don't know about 11:30. I would have given her like 10:30 or maybe 11 to push the envelope.
Right.
16, she could do 11:30.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they're doing it at this age, so she is exposed to being with her friends, making her own decisions, and really, I don't think college is the place where you need to learn those things, because then you really have a lot of pressure. And I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of seasons of Blackish, so we'll see Zoe go off to college.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
to see how,
that would be really good.
I could see Dre turning into like
a mad person. Yeah, exactly. He would be the homeless person following her in disguise. My God.
I can't. Oh my gosh.
So the text conversation, I thought was a really good scene for Dre. Mm-hmm. They pretty much exposed the fact that they've been plotting against him, and they didn't think he was skinny. All this stuff is exposed, and I think for a dad that's hard to see, because your little girl's growing up, and you guys had such this close relationship. You were the coolest person to her when she's a kid, and now she's becoming a woman and leaning more towards her mom.
Exactly.
And
well, you had your time though.
They're scheming, girl.
Yeah, you had your time though. I feel like, I mean, I definitely saw it. And and felt really bad. At first it was funny, and then he was like, they think I'm fat, and I was like, that's not funny. So I felt bad, but I think that same thing happened to me, and it happens to a lot of other girls. It depends. Like when you get to a certain age where then you're on both people, like you're 50-50 all the way. But I think there was definitely a time like, oh my God, I'm daddy's little girl, and it's like, oh, I'm mom's pal, and then now you're like, okay, well, these are both my parents, they're both awesome, this is how this, yeah.
Well, how do you think, well, maybe we should ask you guys, how do you keep the balance between being daddy's little girl and then letting your daughter grow up and become a woman? How do you parent that? What do we want to see in future episodes?
Oh my gosh. I would appreciate if Dre let Bo make some of the like rules in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like what do you think we should do? Versus like, not that he's dictating her by any means, but you can see he's very aggressive when it comes to the children, and she's really good at pulling him back, but it doesn't always work until the end of the episode, and then he's like, oh my gosh, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I would like, instead of waiting 29 minutes to give us like, let's get to the 15 mark and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love for Bo to be like, okay, this is what I think we should do. Let's handle it my way. And he actually goes along with the plan. Because you'll get some of her. And because she's so used to Dre, she'll throw some of that hard knock in there too. But, you know, because she's softer.
I don't know if she'll throw in the hard knock.
You don't think so?
I think just like we saw in this episode, it takes something bad to happen for Bo to really be like, put her foot down. Yeah. She is a yes man or a yes woman. I think she was pretty much raised that way. Her parents were very free spirited.
So funny, yeah.
And I want to see them again, or I want to see them, and their free spirits. But I think that that's pretty much how she's gonna be. Even if she was to be the lead parent and making decisions, I think that the kids know she's soft. They're gonna run over her. I mean, we saw even Diane. I personally don't think she respects Zoe.
Diane?
Diane,
she's kind of rude.
Yeah, I'm like, my gosh.
If my little sister talked to me like that, no, I'm so sorry. It's not happening. So when she says stuff like, why would we listen to you? What did you do? And like, you know, you're the bad seed. And it's funny for comedic purposes, but it's like, I'm confused. Yeah, so.
No, I think it's a different perspective, because a lot of times little girls, they really look up to their older sister. But in this scenario, I think that the little boy is looking up to Zoe. So
and
it's a different.
I actually agree with that, and I think she doesn't look up to anyone. Yeah. Diane is just kind of like on her own.
Diane came out independent.
Yeah,
she pretty much got it.
She
on her
was
own.
Like 5. You know, I feel like by the time she came out, she was like, yeah, I got y'all. And it's like, what?
Yeah. And I'm like, how did that happen with Bo and Dre?
Yeah, exactly.
Where did you come from?
Exactly.
So it must be one of the grandparents that she gets it
that
from.
That influenced her, right?
Definitely. And let's go ahead and talk about Pop's a little bit more.
Okay.
So Pop's style of parenting is definitely a generation thing and a lot more hardcore. I think there's some things that we can take from their generation and implement to make kids a little bit more grounded, but some of his things were just too much.
I think he's very like, hold on to your horses, folks. Like, he's just so like intense and literally sometimes he says stuff and I'm like, what is happening right now? Because
outrageous.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't get over the white man following you around. What? Like, hire a babysitter, Pops, hire a babysitter. But he went his route, and you know, stuff that he calls Dre soft on is very interesting, because this is such a different generation. Mm-hmm. If Pops was raising one of us now, or even like people way younger than us, no, rebellion would have started
CPS
so many years
ago.
Called. True. CPS would be involved.
Times have changed.
Times have definitely changed. Yeah. You cannot be slashing up your kids' stuff and getting away with it. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. So,
which I wish. I mean, I'm not trying to go back to calling the CPS or anything, but I want us to be a little bit more tough and grounded, because these kids really do walk over their parents.
Yeah.
And while I don't agree with the whole invasion of privacy. How else are your parents supposed to get to know you? Because you have like this personality that you give your parents, and then you got this social media personality. I mean, your parents got to keep up with the times, because you could be a serial killer, and then they over here raising this sweetheart, and then you're on the news. I'm sorry, I'm going too far, but I'm just saying.
It's very possible. It is very possible. Yeah.
So I don't know if hacking is the thing, but definitely parents, come on, step it up, have some social media, maybe not creep on your kids, mom, but have a social media account just so you can keep some tabs on your kids.
See, I don't need my parents to have a Facebook though. Like, I don't really want us to chat.
Why would you want them to have Instagram? That's a little bit too advanced.
They're never gonna. Like, my parents would have to start at the beginning. They're never gonna jump from Facebook to Instagram. It's not gonna happen. They will never post. Like, no, I can't even. Yeah, but in general, I think yes, having a social media is one way to handle it, but the other way is just like normal talks, like legit intentional ways of trying to get to know your kids. Like my parents are very slick. There was a lot of like, let's go out to eat and let's go shopping and let's feed what she wants and then sneak it in there. Like my mom, very sneaky.
But let's put this in perspective of Zoe and how that would work with her. She is very much into her phone. Until they took her phone away this episode, she's not the type to talk to her parents and sit down and really engage with anyone at dinner.
True.
So I think social media is the best way to get to her.
If her parents had an Instagram though, like, do you think
maybe she would be a little bit more cautious? Yeah, she would.
She would block them immediately, and then it'd be over. Yeah, like
then they'd have to make some fake accounts.
Girl,
it shouldn't have to go that far, but I think that it's just funny the comedy that they put in Blackish to where he has to literally get her fingerprint to get to know his own daughter. Yeah, because I mean, who is gonna pull up beside their child who's unlicensed? Like that is the scary thing.
That was very funny. That actually, I'm very scared of that happening one day where like I'm blasting my music and my parents are next to me. I mean, it's not gonna happen now, but because my parents hate loud music, and I'm like.
Yeah.
So when Zoe did it, I was like, girl, you better start driving.
Girl, exactly. And then we see when the spring formal was happening, everything seems to be going well. She already got her movie date. She has her permissions back, all that good stuff. And when they get in the car, they have a moment where Zoe has pretty much... Bo has realized that a lot of stuff is discombobulated in the car. I mean, she said that someone swapped her Beck for Beyonce, which was a great reference to the Grammys.
They are so
They
funny.
I love the writing in this episode.
Yeah.
So we see that switched. We see that the car seat is pushed back a little further or pushed up a little more than it should be. And then Bo puts her foot down and realizes that this girl took her car.
Right.
I mean, Bo has a nice car.
Yeah. And don't you dare drive Bo's car. When I looked at it, I was like, you drove your mother's car without... Never. No, that's inappropriate.
I mean, your mom is a surgeon. She is going and she's working hard.
Right.
And what would have happened? What if you crashed the car?
If you did, why didn't you just put it back? Like, that's dumb. Why didn't you take your Beyonce in the house, put the Beck back? Like...
I mean, they have to learn. She's 15. We all have to go through those things. I mean, you can see it on TV, but until you actually do it yourself, I mean, she's made some mistakes. Maybe she'll be better the next time, which I hope she isn't. But it's just so funny how Bo finally is like screaming at her, and she's like, "No, Zoe, like you better get in there. I don't want to see your face."
She was like, "Get to your room." You can. I feel like that was like an ad lib because it was so. Just the way it happened. I feel like Bo wouldn't necessarily react like that, but maybe Tracee would to be funny. And it worked. It was hilarious. But because, Bo, like, even when she's mad, sometimes she still dials it down. But that ending was so perfect. So
it really
was a
flowed.
mixture of characters, yeah.
It definitely flowed. And then I would have really liked to see her date pick her up, but then I realized that they're only 15.
Yeah.
So that was my one thing I wanted. But the way that it ended was nice. And the way that Pop says that Dre is soft, like, I don't think he was soft at all this episode. He may not be hardcore cracking the whip, but I mean, he did.
He's
a good
doing
job.
what he can. Absolutely,
he did what he can, and as we saw with his coworkers, he's kind of scary.
Right.
I mean, they definitely
lose your coffee in the place. Scary. Yeah.
Exactly. So we got a little bit of that this episode with him and his coworkers saying that he's scary, and we just had a lot of funny moments. I thought Charlie was funny again this episode.
Right. Oh yeah.
But that is pretty much it. So let's get into predictions.
What are you predicting? What are you predicting?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Oh, God.
It's serious time, you guys. It's serious. Okay.
It's time to get this writer's credit.
I know. I have no predictions.
Okay, we never have predictions. Well, last week when Yara was in, Zoe, I said I really want to see a Mother's Day episode, and she kind of flinched a little bit, like I got it right. So I'm going to go with that prediction. I really hope they do a Mother's Day show where we get to see Bo's mom and then Grandma Ruby together and see how that happens. I think it'll be a hilarious episode to see those personalities.
Agreed.
So that's what I want.
I actually think I'm going to just piggyback off that because, hi Yara, sorry I missed you last week. So anyway, I know she's fabulous and I know it was a really fun interview, but the fact that she even flinched a little bit, that gives a good enough, gives away that we might actually get to see that. And then I'm thinking having all those women in one episode and just having Dre like deal with it, and maybe, I mean, obviously I'm hoping Pops will be in it too, but if we see Dre deal with like not only his wife and his mom, his daughters, I mean, just like what is he teaching? Yeah, what is he teaching them about Mother's Day? Like
estrogen.
Everything.
What else to say? Testosterone. A lot of estrogen, you guys.
Anyway, that would be really funny. So I hope that's the episode we get to.
Definitely. Yeah. And I don't know why. I don't think it's explicit. I think it's all about being a woman, but I kind of want to see see, we haven't seen whether Zoe has gone through puberty as far as like her period and how her dad handles that. That would have been a cool thing to discuss too.
I don't think we can. I don't know if Drake can handle it.
I don't think he can handle it. I don't think he can handle it, but I think it would be a good topic because you get to see both dynamics. How maybe the mom is like, "You're a woman, I'm so excited," and then Dre is like, "Oh my God, she can have sex." Or, I mean, I'd love to see something like that.
That would be funny.
Or maybe Diane. I mean, she's little. But in coming seasons, it'd be cool to see how they react
that would be
that.
very interesting.
Definitely.
Very interesting.
All right. Well, that is it for you guys. And we are done with our recap. Be sure to keep using that hashtag ABTV Blackish to tell us what you thought about this recap and what you thought about tonight's episode. Tell us what you think your predictions are, and we'll maybe comment on them. Or not comment on them. Maybe we'll talk about them next week. You guys can keep in touch with me at Tezeno on Twitter and Instagram. And where can they find you?
You guys can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace and using the hashtag ABTV Blackish.
All right. We will see you guys next week.
See ya. Oh my God.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.